Throughout the pandemic, Asian Americans have endured racist and physical threats. And as the U.S. celebrates Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, new research is calling attention to this rise in anti-Asian sentiment and the toll that it's taking on Asian American communities. Amna Nawaz spoke recently with the head of the Asian American Foundation.
1 in 2 Asian Americans report feeling unsafe in the U.S. due to their ethnicity. That's according to a new report from the Asian American Foundation examining attitudes and stereotypes toward Asian Americans. Among the findings, nearly 80% of Asian Americans do not feel they fully belong and are accepted, while more than half don't feel safe in public places, a national survey found. What's more, nearly 1 in 5 Americans believe Asian Americans are partly responsible for COVID-19. Norman Chen is the CEO of the Asian American Foundation and joins us now. Norman, thank you. Welcome to the NewsHour.
Thank you for having us, Amna.
So these were findings from your 3rd annual survey of Asian Americans. What have you seen over time? Are these numbers getting better or worse?
They've been largely consistent over the last 3 years, Amna. We've seen more increasing concern during COVID about attacks against our community and the blaming of Asian Americans for COVID-19. But this is the latest question this year about the safety level really disturbed us. The fact that over half of Asian Americans felt unsafe. They felt unsafe in public transportation, on subways. They felt unsafe in their own neighborhoods, in their own schools, and their own workplaces. So that was very concerning for all of us.
How much of that do you link directly to the pandemic? I remember we reported on this surge of anti-Asian rhetoric, the subsequent surge of anti-Asian attacks. I remember friends telling me they wouldn't let their parents or their aunties or uncles go walking alone because they were so worried about random attacks. Has that fear dissipated at all as we moved out of the pandemic?
I think a lot of it was due to the COVID-19 and the pandemic, but also it recalls just the fact that Asian Americans have been feeling attacked within this country for decades, for generations. And this year's survey really highlighted for us that those 3 stereotypes of the perpetual foreigner, yellow peril, and the mono minority myth really reared their ugly heads in the results. And so this is not just a phenomenon due to COVID-19. It's really been something that's been in our history for a long time. What was particularly new this year was about the belonging question. Last year was the first time we asked, how much do you really feel like you truly belong in this country? And Asian Americans were the least likely to feel we truly belong. But then this year we understand more why. And they tell us they feel like they don't belong because of these attacks. There's a direct correlation between the incidence, the frequency of these attacks, and our community's lack of feeling like we truly belong. The second reason they mentioned was the lack of representation, lack of seeing role models in Asian Americans in senior leadership positions. So those are new insights that we want to work on.
That feeling of not belonging, of not feeling safe, what kind of impact does that have in terms of how people live and on their mental health and well-being?
A tremendously negative impact. If you don't feel like you are safe, you don't feel like you can belong, you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we cannot thrive, we cannot succeed, we cannot be respected by others. And so it's fundamental that we believe that we belong and that we feel safe in our society. And this really has a damaging effect on mental health for our community. Mental health is a significant problem for the AAPI community, as for other communities. But we have the terrible statistic that among AAPI youth ages 15 to 24, suicide is the leading cause of death. And our group is unique in that, unfortunately.
Norman, as you know, anti-Asian sentiment goes back to the earliest days of our nation. The very first significant law restricting immigration in America was targeting Chinese people. We as a nation incarcerated tens of thousands of Japanese Americans during World War II. Is what we're seeing now just the latest chapter in that ongoing story?
We are seeing a recurrence of it in many ways, but of course it's unique to this time. The recent attacks we've seen in Atlanta and even in Allen, Texas, make us really concerned about increasing anti-Asian sentiment in this country. The rhetoric in the media among politicians has led to more anti-China sentiment, which leads to anti-Asian American sentiment. And we need to be very careful to manage that to make sure we don't inflame tensions and antagonism towards our community.
At the same time, I want to point out your survey found 75% of Americans said that they see these racist attacks against Asian Americans as a problem today. So there is awareness, there is acknowledgement. Is that progress?
Yeah, there are some signs of progress in our survey this year. Besides that awareness, a lot of people in our survey, when we asked them what we can do to try to help build relations with the AAPI community, number one answer was greater interaction. So that was very encouraging. People are open to having more interaction, getting to know AAPI members better, which is wonderful. The second answer was education, which we've known is always very, very important. So we do want to promote more knowledge of Asian American and Pacific Islander history as American history.
Norman Chen is the CEO of the Asian American Foundation. Norman, great to speak with you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Amna.